There is no me. I do not exist. There used to be a me, but I had it surgically removed. That was a famous quote from Peter Sellers, the comedic genius, the master of disguise, the man behind iconic characters like Inspector Clouseau and Dr. Strangelove. He was a man who felt he had no identity outside the roles he played. So, what did that mean for his three children, who had to navigate the immense shadow of a father who claimed not to exist? It's a journey through glamour and pain, through public humiliation and quiet dignity, as each of them grappled with the complex, often damaging legacy of being Peter Sellers' child. Number 3. Michael Sellers, the Firstborn, Son's Painful Chronicle. Born on April 2, 1954, was the first child of Peter Sellers and his first wife, Australian actress Anne Howe. As the eldest, Michael bore the full force of his father's notoriously volatile personality and the chaotic glamour of his skyrocketing fame. His childhood was a dizzying paradox, swimming parties with Princess Margaret and holidays with the Aga Khan, juxtaposed with the terror of his father's unpredictable, terrible mood swings. In his later memoirs, Michael painted a harrowing picture of his father, describing him as a childish monster, prone to petulant rages and vindictiveness, driven by vanity and insecurity. The pattern was brutal. Peter would bestow expensive, guilt-driven apology gifts, only to destroy them in a subsequent fit of temper. In one particularly searing memory, a 5-year-old Michael tried to touch up a tiny scratch on his father's new Bentley. For this, Peter thrashed him with a belt and then confiscated all his toys, leaving only one on a shelf too high to reach. He was, in Michael's words, petrified of his father. After his parents' divorce around 1961, Michael lived primarily with his mother and his stepfather, Ted Levy, with whom he had an excellent relationship. But holidays spent with Peter were often fraught with tension, with his father's own insecurities fueling vindictive behavior. In one letter, Peter told Michael, "I no longer wish to be thought of as your father. My final suggestion is that you change your surname." Despite this, Michael admitted to a lifelong search to find a way to have a relationship with his father, and there were fleeting moments of connection, times when Peter was a great playmate, but these glimmers of hope were ultimately extinguished by Peter Sellers' final infamous act. Upon his death from a heart attack on July 24, 1980, Peter left the bulk of his £4.5 million estate to his fourth wife, Lynn Frederick, whom he was reportedly in the process of divorcing. To his three children, Michael, Sarah, and Victoria, he left a paltry £800 each. Michael believed this was a calculated legal cruelty, a sum just large enough to prevent them from contesting the will. For Michael, this disinheritance was the ultimate confirmation of a lifetime of feeling like an afterthought. It was a pain his sister Victoria believed he never recovered from, asserting that Michael died of a broken heart. Michael's own professional life was a series of varied, sometimes faltering attempts to find his footing. He appeared as a child in his father's 1961 film, Mr. Topaz. As an adult, he tried his hand as a builder, a property dealer, a classic car restorer, and even played in a rock band. He once confessed, "I think I was a disappointment to Dad because I didn't do anything creative in the way his father might have expected." His most significant and perhaps most therapeutic work was writing about his father. His 1981 memoir, P.S. I Love You, An Intimate Portrait of Peter Sellers, co-written with his sister's help, was a raw and candid account of his less than emotionally stable childhood. He went on to co-author 2 more books, A Hard Act to Follow and Sellers on Sellers. Through these books, Michael reclaimed his own narrative, transforming from a passive recipient of his father's volatile behavior to an active and powerful narrator of his own truth. Tragically, Michael Sellers' life ended in a manner that created a somber, almost faded echo of his father's. On July 24, 2006, the 26th anniversary of Peter Sellers' death to the very day, Michael died of a heart attack at the age of 52. He was survived by his second wife, Allison, and their 2 children, Will and a daughter. His son, Will, has since spoken publicly about the painful family legacy. He mixed number 2, Sarah Sellers, finding a quiet life and dignity. Born on October 16, 1957, was Peter Sellers and Anne Howe's second child. Growing up alongside her brother Michael, she experienced that same unique childhood. A world where, as she said, royalty, celebrities, and icons were beating a path to her father's door. Like Michael, she was subjected to her father's difficult temperament. She was the recipient of a brutal telegram in March 1980, just months before Peter's death, after she'd commented on a matter concerning her half-sister, Victoria. The message ended with, "Goodbye, your father." This, followed by the disinheritance, left a deep wound. Yet, Sarah's response to her complicated legacy diverged significantly from her brother's. While Michael publicly chronicled the pain, Sarah made a conscious choice to step away from the limelight and cultivate a life of quiet dignity. In her own words, "I was never really interested in that life. I was more interested in being a person in my own right." Instead of Hollywood, Sarah turned to the world of antiques. She runs a business called All You Can Bear in London, specializing in antique dolls and lovingly restoring antique teddy bears. The name itself feels poignant, perhaps an unintentional nod to the emotional burdens she had to bear. She noted that her paternal grandmother was an antique dealer, a knocker, suggesting she found a connection to her family heritage that was more grounded and separate from her father's fame. Her work, centered on symbols of childhood comfort and innocence, stands in stark contrast to the chaos of her own upbringing. While she has chosen a private life, Sarah has engaged with her father's legacy on her own thoughtful terms. She collaborated with her siblings on the book P.S. I Love You. In 2015, she curated a photography exhibition of her father's work, Peter Sellers Behind the Camera, with proceeds benefiting the British Heart Foundation. She said she wanted to do something with integrity, something that he would be proud of. More recently, in 2024, she created an oil painting of her father with his dog for a charity art exhibition. The painting was titled "Life is a State of Mind," a famous quote from her father's film, Being There, the very film whose review by her sister had prompted that cruel telegram years ago. This act suggests a profound ability to reframe a painful memory and connect with her father's artistry. Her quiet resilience is perhaps best captured in her response to the will controversy decades later. She acknowledged the hurt, but added, "You just get on with your life. Feelings change." Sarah has a daughter named Emily, who is a photographer, continuing a love for the art form shared by her grandfather Peter, and passed down through a camera he gave to Sarah, which she then gave to Emily. Number 1. Victoria Sellers, a public life of turmoil and recovery. Born on January 20th, 1965, in London, was the only child from Peter Sellers' famously turbulent second marriage to Swedish actress Britt Ekland. Born into the height of 1960s celebrity culture, Victoria's life has been, in many ways, the most public and often the most troubled of the three siblings. Her parents' marriage was short and acrimonious, ending in 1968. Victoria was raised by her mother, Britt Ekland, but still had a connection with her father. She was only 15 when he died, and, like her half-siblings, was left with just £800 in his will, despite a later discovered letter indicating he had intended to change it to give her £20,000. Unlike Sarah, who shunned the spotlight, Victoria often seemed drawn to it. She pursued a career in modeling, including a pictorial for Playboy magazine in 1986. She also had a brief acting career, appearing in a few films and TV shows. However, her life in the 80s and 90s was marked by significant legal troubles and a public battle with addiction. Her name became famously linked to the Hollywood madam, Heidi Fleiss. In 1993, Victoria was arrested and later convicted for her role in Fleiss's high-profile prostitution ring. She pleaded no contest to laundering drug money and was sentenced to 3 years probation and community service. This scandal thrust her into a harsh international spotlight. She faced further arrests and legal issues, including for drug possession, and publicly struggled with her sobriety. In a move that starkly contrasts with her half-sister Sarah's deep privacy, Victoria addressed her struggles head-on in a very public forum: reality television. She appeared on the series Rehab with Dr. Drew, allowing cameras to document her journey to get clean. This public reckoning with her demons was a different, but no less courageous way of grappling with a difficult life. Her relationship with her mother, Britt Ekland, has also been public and at times complex, but they have appeared together and supported each other through various challenges. Like Michael and Sarah, Victoria co-authored P.S. I Love You, contributing her perspective to the family narrative. In recent years, Victoria seems to have found a more stable path. She has been involved in jewelry design and appears to live a more settled life, having navigated the extreme highs and lows of a life lived very much in the public eye. What's your favorite Peter Sellers performance? And what do you think of his children's very different stories? Let us know in the comments below.